You're a freak. She can read people's thoughts. I've never met a boy with beautiful handwriting. Make them all gay. Literally, his jaw's on the floor and he's a man. I'm losing it. Hey Amelia, long time no see. It's fall, it's raining, it's almost Halloween, so it is finally time for me to talk about the 10th anniversary gender-swapped retelling of Twilight, Life and Death. I found this book at a thrift store for $4, and I have never purchased anything faster in my life. Now let's talk for a moment about my first ever Twilight video. Oh, that was the first video I ever made. It was not meant to be seen by actual people. Now, today, presently, I have physical copies of every Twilight book, but when I made that video, I had borrowed them from the library and I didn't take any notes on them, and then I returned them and then I made the video, so I was really going on like a vibe and a hope and a prayer. Also, I was really sick. Really don't go rewatch the Twilight video. Oh, also thought I'd bring out the I Heart Hot Dads shirt again. It has since been cropped. So instead of Bella, we've got Beau. His full name is Beaufort. I kept in my brain reading it as Buford. Edward is Edith with a Y. Jacob is Julie Black, but she shows up for maybe twice in the entire book. And instead of Carlisle, the love of my life Carlisle, instead of Carlisle, we have Corinne, I don't know how to pronounce that one. Alice is called Archie, but there's also a character named Alan. Why I feel that Alan is closer to Alice than Archie is to Alice, but I don't make the rules. Which brings me to the foreword. There is both a foreword and an afterword in this book. The foreword is so silly, funny, goofy. This is the first page and I had so many little notes in the margins and stuff. The first part of the foreword, she says, you know, Bella has gotten a lot of censure for getting rescued on multiple occasions, and people have complained about her being a typical damsel in distress. My answer has always been that Bella is a human in distress. What is a damsel in distress if not a human woman in distress? What is the actual definition of damsel in distress? Let's Google. A young woman in trouble with the implication that the woman needs to be rescued. That's what Bella is. Right after that, there's like a couple paragraphs about the changes Stephenie Meyer made and why, and what changes she didn't make. The biggest exception is Charlie and Renee, who have stayed as Charlie and Renee. Here is the reason for that. Beau was born in 1987. It was a rare thing for a father to get primary custody of a child in those days. I have a really hard time believing that any judge at the time, or even now, would give a child to a transient unemployed father over a mother with a steady job and strong ties to her community. You know what else I have a hard time believing? Vampires. Werewolves. Vampires aren't real. So like for the sake of fun and a good time, can we not just like suspend our disbelief? I would buy that girl Charlie was just like, hey, I'm chill with this custody agreement. Maybe that's not the most realistic thing ever in the world, but neither are vampires. So, the plot. January 17th, 2005. We open on a 17-year-old guy named Beaufort. His mom, Renee, is dropping him off at the airport to move in with Charlie in Forks, Washington. In the original book, Bella is wearing a sleeveless white eyelet lace, and Beaufort is wearing his favorite Monty Python t-shirt, the one with the swallows and the coconut that mom gave me 2 Christmases ago. Honestly, good for him. Also, in this book, Beau has blue eyes. We do have exactly the same eyes. On her, they're childlike, so wide and pale blue, which makes her look like my sister rather than my mom. I'm pretty sure Bella has brown eyes. I just feel like why change it? So the reason why Beau is moving to Forks, Washington to live with his dad is because Renee's boyfriend, Phil, got a job with a minor league baseball team, and so they're moving down to Florida. Now I'm feeling a little bit personally offended because Stephenie Meyer in the foreword said that the only 2 characters that weren't gender swapped was Renee and Charlie. However, Phil is also still a boy. I think we should have made Renee a lesbian. Phyllis? Beau gets to Washington. He's originally from Arizona. Charlie bought him a truck. It's a really old truck, I think from the 50s. And he bought it from Bonnie Black, who is this book's version of Bill. Is his name Billy? Billy Black? Jacob's mom. Beau spent summers in Forks with his dad, but spent most of his time in Arizona with his mom. And he is so jaded and like hateful about the Pacific Northwest. Listen, I'm not sure if you can hear the rain coming down outside, but I am in fact also from the Pacific Northwest, and this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. People come from all over the actual world to come visit this side of the country. It's stunning, it's gorgeous, it's lush, it's green, it's beautiful. Beau is like, I guess it's like beautiful or whatever. It's actually too green. I actually think it's ugly how green it is. Shut up, I hate you. I've lived here for almost 10 years. It never stops being beautiful. And he's like, yeah, it's green. Oh, I hate trees. So Beau starts school. The school is like a collection of buildings. It's not like one big building. It wasn't obvious at first that it was a school. Only the sign which declared it to be Forks High School clued me in. It looked like a collection of matching houses built with maroon colored bricks. My hot take about media is I really really don't understand the trope of the new kid who keeps getting lost around school. In high schools, the rooms are numbered and the numbers go in order. Just look at the numbers on the doors. Bo is like panicked about getting lost. Also, okay, 2 things you need to know about Bo. Number 1, he is not funny. He keeps like cracking jokes, but they're not good. But he thinks he's funny. And he is clumsy, falling to the floor, tripping over his feet. It's not cute. Bo first sees the Cullens at lunch on the first day. Obviously, they are stunning and gorgeous, beautiful, so he is staring at them. There were 3 girls. One I could tell was super tall, even sitting down, maybe as tall as I was. Her legs went on forever. Unfortunately, this is, I think, a fatal flaw that a gender swap version of Twilight might fall into, and that is, he's just objectifying a woman. He said, wow, her legs, so long and beautiful. And we have to like zoom out big picture and say like, this is a random guy who's just like staring at a bunch of women. Don't love that. So that night, Bo goes home and he's talking to Charlie and he's like, what do you know about the Cullens? They're so beautiful. And Charlie's like, whoa, you should see their mom, hot lady doctor. I have to say, what are we, 16 pages in? My experience of this book, I feel, was heavily colored by the fact that I am a lesbian. I didn't think about it when I was reading the original book. All of the characters are men. There's so many men in that book. And it really becomes apparent when you then read the gender swap version and you're like, wow, so many women. Now, and this might just be me, but unfortunately I think Stephanie Meyer did a really good job about like not really changing a whole lot about the character of Bella when she changed him to Bo. That meant that like it felt like you were in the brain of like a teenage girl. And so it felt very queer. Sometimes I forgot that I was like, this is supposed to be a boy, but it really felt just like a girl who like had a big crush on some girls. Like hot take. I enjoyed Life and Death more than I enjoyed the original series. Sue me, freaking sue me. Sorry. I am who I am. Oh, I've swapped around the timeline a little bit. He hasn't gone home yet. Bo is still at school. I think one of the other kids is talking about hot lesbian doctor. See, she's not a lesbian. She has a husband, but the husband barely comes up. Okay, so after lunch, Bo goes to biology class, and the only chair that's open is the chair next to Edith. Who could have seen that one coming? Not me. Bo goes to sit next to Edith. Edith is being very hateful towards Bo. As I walked down the aisle to do my required intro for the teacher and get my slip signed, I was watching her trying to make it convert. What the fuck does that mean? I was watching her trying to make it, covert. Oh my god. Just as I passed, she suddenly went rigid in her seat. Her face jerked up towards mine so fast it surprised me, staring with the strangest expression. It was more than angry. It was furious. Hostile. Bo was like, what could I possibly have done? Why does she hate me already? We've never spoken. Which, like, okay, sure. Could it, just a theory, have anything to do with the fact that you were ogling her and her siblings during lunch? Just like staring. That would be like my first guess if I was him. Turns out it's because he is stinky. Throughout the entire class, she never relaxed her stiff position on the edge of her chair, sitting as far away from me as possible with her hair hiding most of her face. Can you imagine? You like sit down and the person sitting next to you is like, I would be so humiliated. At the end of the day, Bo has to go to the office to like submit all of his paperwork and all the slips that he got signed to make sure he went to all the classes. He goes into the office and he sees Edith, and Edith is trying to get swapped out of that biology class. And then the next day at school, Edith doesn't come in. Bo is like, I was glad that I had the desk all to myself and that Edith wasn't there. I told myself that again and again. Still, I couldn't get rid of that annoying feeling that I was the reason she was gone. It was ridiculous and egotistical to think that I could affect anyone that much. It was impossible, but I couldn't stop worrying about it. I actually don't think it's impossible. I actually think that's a very logical conclusion to come to, just like based on the fact. You sit down, she seems to hate you. She's leaning away from you all class. Then at the end of class, she's trying to transfer out of your class and then she never comes back. That's because of you. You're not being egotistical to think that. I have a gripe with this book. Bo is described as like being so OCD. Oh my gosh, he's so OCD because he's so clean and organized. In the foreword it happens, Stephanie Meyer describes Bo as less angry and more OCD than Bella. And then again in, page 30? I wrote my mom more fake cheerful emails, got ahead on my homework, and cleaned up the house. Obviously, OCD wasn't a problem for Charlie. We are rational, smart people aware of why that's not a positive way to describe somebody, because like it trivializes actual mental health problems, and like just being a little bit clean and tidy, that's not what OCD is. It was published in 2015. We should have known better by then. Whatever. The next day at school, it snows, and Bo is so jaded and boring. He's like, ew, what's this white shit coming from the sky? I've only ever seen it on TV. It's snow. It's magical, okay? Just get over yourself. You're not too cool to enjoy a snow day. You are never too cool to enjoy a snow day. And he's like, hates that there's a snowball fight going on. Shut up. Have fun. Live a little, diva. That day, the day of the snow, Edith has also come back. Her eyes are a different color. When they first met, Edith's eyes were like dark, almost like black. And then now they're like amber. They're in biology again. And Bo notices in class that Edith has really beautiful handwriting. And this is supposed to be like, whoa, how unique. She doesn't fit in. Who even does beautiful handwriting nowadays in 2005? When Edward was a boy, that made sense. I've never met a boy with beautiful handwriting. But like, do you know how many girls I knew who had the most beautiful, like, calligraphy style handwriting for school notes? It was a thing. People did it. The next day, all of the snow had melted, but then it refroze overnight. So the next morning, there was a lot of black ice around. Beau drives to school and he's like, damn, my car handles the black ice really well. Turns out, Charlie woke up early to put chains on Beau's tires. Diva, king. I love him. So Beau's in the parking lot. Edith is a few cars down from him. And then Michaela, who is this book's version of Mike, if we remember from the OG, comes barreling towards Beau in her minivan. It almost hits Beau, but then all of a sudden, Edith shoved him out of the way to save his life. Just before I heard the shattering crunch of the van folding around the truck bed, something hit me. Hard, but not from the direction I was expecting. My head cracked against the icy blacktop and I felt something solid and cold pitting me to the ground. Two thin white hands shot out in front of me and the van shuddered to a stop, a foot from my face. Her pale hands fitting exactly into a deep dent in the side of the van's body. Edith saved his life. That is so sexy. Ah! I love women. So Edith saved Beau's life and he's like, wait a minute, how did you do that? Because I saw you standing 5 cars down in the parking lot, and then in a split second, you were right next to me. And she's like gaslighting him in an iconic diva way. She's like, you're crazy. I was right next to you the whole time. Obviously, you hit your head or something. I have a fatal flaw that's happening right now. I am so much more permissive to fictional women than I am for fictional men. If this was a man gaslighting women, ew, gross, die, okay? That's so hateful and mean. But she's a girl, and she's a diva, and she's just like, you know, lying for fun. And I can't fault her for that. Beau is like not accepting this gaslighting. He's like, literally, I saw you, don't lie to me. And then Beau is like, will you explain everything later? And she's like, yeah, okay, fine. Obviously just to shut him up. But then Beau gets taken to the hospital. Girl Carlisle does his exam. He's all fine. He's good to go. Let's just read this description of Girl Carlisle because she is gorgelina. Beautiful, gorgeous, hot, you know? Then a doctor walked around the corner and my mouth fell open. Literally his jaw's on the floor and he's a man. Ugh. Gross. She was young, she was blonde, and she was more beautiful than any movie star I'd ever seen. Like someone sliced up Audrey Hepburn, Grace Kelly, Marilyn Monroe, took the best parts and glued them together to form one goddess. She was pale though and tired looking with circles under her eyes. She's hot. Anyway, Beau gets all clear to leave the hospital, but then he's like talking to Edith and he is like, you cannot lie to me. I saw you 5 cars down. And she's like, I will not tell you. Also, we can't be friends. You should stay away from me. I don't want to be your friend. And then he's like, please, please, please. And she's like, you're not gonna let this go, are you? And he's like, haha, no. And she's like, well, then enjoy your disappointing life because I'm never gonna tell you. And then that night, Beau dreams of Edith, obviously. He got saved by a beautiful woman. I have been way more infatuated with somebody over way less. Some time passes. It's now been a month from the car crash incident. There's going to be a dance. I don't know if it's homecoming. I don't actually really know what homecoming is. I've just heard about it in like movies and stuff. Regardless, there's a dance and the dance is happening in a week and a half. And the theme of the dance is the girls ask the boys. A little bit of Sadie. Is it Sadie Hawkins? Who is Sadie Hawkins? A Sadie Hawkins dance is an informal dance sponsored by a high school, middle school, or college to which the ladies invite the gentlemen to their dates. Named after a Lil Abner comic strip. Unmarried women of Dogpatch would chase the bachelors and marry up with the one they caught? That's crazy. Sadie Hawkins Day. When is that? November 13th. Interesting. That's coming up. Girlies, should we do something fun for Sadie Hawkins Day? What was the point of this? Oh, yeah. So this dance. Girls ask the boys out to the dance type dance. One thing about Beau, everybody wants him. The girls are falling over themselves to ask Beau to this dance. The 3 like best friend characters, all of them ask Beau to the dance. And he's like, oh my God, actually crazy. I like have a trip to Seattle planned that day. Can't get out of it. Has to be then. Totally would go with you if I wasn't already going to Seattle that day. And they're like, do you have to go that day? And he's like, yes, I have to go to Seattle the exact day of the Sadie Hawkins dance or else I will die. He doesn't say that, but that's the vibe. And obviously he's lying. It doesn't have to be that day. It's just because he doesn't want to like break the hearts of these women. He's such a heartbreaker and everyone wants him. So the next morning he runs into Edith and she's like, I heard you were going to Seattle in a week and a half. Do you want to ride? And then he's like, well, I don't see why me going to Seattle is your problem. And she goes, the wasting of finite resources is everybody's problem. And she's right. And honestly, we should be carpooling more. It's better for the world. And then that day at lunch, Edith is sitting alone instead of with the rest of the Cullens. Beau is sitting with all of his friends, and then the Cullens are sitting like over here, and then like Edith is sitting alone. And she stares at Beau, and then she goes, hysterically funny to me. I'm laughing. This book was a good time. Her dimples flashed as soon as she knew I'd seen her. She raised one hand and motioned with her index finger for me to join her. Literally, she said... So unserious. So they're sitting at the lunch table together and they're totally flirting with each other. And also Edith is being very cryptic. She's like, I always say too much. And Beau's like, I have no idea what you're talking about ever in the world. So by this point, after the car crash incident, Beau has decided that there is something wrong, different about Edith, that she's not just like a normal person. And they're sitting at lunch together and Edith is like, well, have you figured out what's weird and different about me? And Beau is like, yeah, actually, I think I did. You're a superhero. You got bitten by a radioactive spider. And she's like, okay, girl, you're crazy. And then Edith goes, but what if I'm not a superhero? What if I'm the villain? God. Unfortunately, pretty girls are not immune to being cringe, because that was really cringe. But to be like, what if I'm the villain, though? Ugh. I felt it viscerally. I hated it. So Beau's like, you're not as dangerous as you're trying to make me think you are. And she's like, are you dumb? Literally, I am. Edith is ditching bio class that day. Turns out, in class, they're doing blood typing by, like, pricking their fingers and testing their blood type. Beau, a little squeamish around blood. So he almost faints. He has to go to the office. So Michaela, remember, of the car crash, takes him to the office. But they run into Edith in the hallway. And Edith is like, I'll take it from here. And Michaela's really sort of, like, a little bit peeved about that because she actually is in love with Beau as well. I almost called him Michael. Who was Michael? Oh my god. I'm losing it. When you're driving your car, I'm your baby. I took a little break. I got a cup of tea. It's a little shark. I went to an Oktoberfest celebration at an aquarium called Oktoberfish. I'm trying to do more things because I spend a lot of my time alone and at home, and I'm trying to be more social. So if anyone's got any fun events, I would like to partake. What was I talking about? Okay, they were doing blood typing. Beau is very squeamish around blood. So he's in the office, and Edith tells the school nurse, Beau's looking really sick. I think he should go home. And the school nurse is like, yeah, fucking sure. I'll write a note. Okay. Awesome. Edith takes Beau to her car, a Volvo. Now, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. My mom drove a Volvo in university, and so I think they're lame. I actually, gun to my head, could not picture a Volvo. Are they supposed to be fancy? This is a tangent, but I'm gonna go with it. I am currently shopping for a new car. And by, of course, new car, I mean used car, because I'm not made of that kind of money. My current car is a little moldy. I spilled tea on myself. God damn it. My current car has a leak in the roof, so I'm looking to buy another car. I've said this for years and years. My dream car is a 1999 Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V. The amount that I complain about my car currently, which is a 2011, I can't buy a car that is 10 years older than that. Also, I don't think my mom would let me, but I think they're so cute. Okay, I was chatting a lot of shit. I don't hate the way this Volvo looks. I could drive a Volvo. I don't know why I was picturing a Lexus, though. When I'm reading these books, I'm picturing a Lexus, but it's a Volvo. Anyway, okay, what was I saying? Right, okay, so Edith drives Beau home. In her car, she's listening to Claire de Lune, which I will never not be chuckling at that. That's funny. Debussy? I don't care. She tells Beau she's not going to be in school for like Friday and Monday because her family's taking a long weekend to go on a camping trip to Goat Rocks. When Beau gets home, he asks Charlie, he's like, tell me about this Goat Rocks. Some of my friends are going on a camping trip there. And he's like, that's weird. It's not for camping, it's for hunting. Very weird. Very strange. Also, Beau decided not to tell Charlie that he was going to Seattle with Edith. Like, he talked to Charlie. Charlie knows he's going to Seattle. He didn't tell Charlie that, like, Edith was at all involved. Even though Charlie likes the Cullens. That evening, Beau goes to La Push with some of his friends. Beau invited Edith, but Edith was like, I don't go to that beach. She was all cryptic about it. It was not like, oh, I can't go. It was like, I can't go there. La Push is on the Quileute Reservation. And let's talk about it a little briefly. The Quileute people are a real indigenous group in Washington. And Stephanie Meyer sort of took their stories and bastardized it a little bit to fit in with her werewolf vampire narrative. From what I could find, the Quileute people did not appreciate their culture being taken in this way and bastardized, and they were not given any financial kickback from it. Not that that would have made it better actually, but Stephanie Meyer took it and she just sort of used it, and they didn't want that and they didn't like that. And I did a little bit of research into what their actual creation story is, because Stephanie Meyer took it and changed it. So I'm going to leave a link to the Quileute Reservation website. So just have a little poke through that. Uplift and support Indigenous voices and support Indigenous businesses. Okay, so after a little bit of time at the beach, the group sort of splits off, and some of them go to get food and some of them go to tidal pools. I love a tidal pool. Tidal pools are so fucking cool. I should go see a tidal pool. I haven't seen a tidal pool since I was a kid. Beau, much like me, loves a tidal pool. So he goes there, but he's like, it would be so lame if I fell in front of a whole bunch of people. Don't fall in. Also, would it be lame? Sometimes people trip. But when all the groups get back to the beach, new people have joined. And it's 3 people from the Quileute Reservation, including Julie, who's like our Jacob character, and Sam. Julie and Beau sort of knew each other, like, because Bonnie and Charlie are buddies. Julie is, like, I think 14 or 15, so a couple years younger than Beau. So they didn't, like, have a ton of crossover, but, like, they knew of each other. And Julie is like, thank God you bought my mom's car, because that means I can, like, fix up a new one, and she wouldn't have let me do that when we still had our truck. I was so relieved when Charlie bought it. My mom wouldn't let me work on building another car when we had a perfectly good vehicle right there. Now this is a win for the gender bend. Cool, gorgeous, badass teen girl who is obsessed with, like, fixing up cars. That is so much cooler than Jacob was. I love this book. It also makes Julie so much more likable. I wish we had more Julie in this book. She shows up in like 2 scenes. It's devastating. This is one of them, and then one at the end, and then that's it for her. So a lot of the guys at the beach are teasing Beau that Edith didn't show up. Sam, one of the Quileute girls, is like, the Cullens don't come here, she said in her clear, forceful voice. It sounded less like an observation and more like a command. Beau is like, I wonder why. So he asks Julie to go on a walk with him. So they go walking down the beach, and Beau is asking some questions about what Sam said. And Julie's like, I'm not supposed to say. And Beau's like, okay. And then Julie folds immediately and tells Beau everything he wants to know. It's because she doesn't believe these stories. Another legend claims that we are descended from wolves and that wolves are our sisters still. It's against tribal law to kill them. And then she tells the story of the cold ones, which is like the vampires, and then like a treaty, which means they can't come on to the Quileute land. You see, the cold ones are the natural enemy of the wolf. Well, not the wolf really, but the wolves that turn into women like our ancestors. I guess you could call them werewolves. So my great-grandmother made a truce with them. If they would promise to stay off our land, we wouldn't expose them to the pale faces. I think meaning humans. There are more of them now, a new female and a new male, but the rest are the same. In my great-grandmother's time, they already knew the leader, Kareen. She'd been here and gone before your people even arrived. Beau is like, what are the cold ones? And she's like, they're vampires, dude, they're vampires. That night, Beau has a nightmare about werewolves and vampires. Also, he slept in jeans, so I think that explains his weird dreams, because I've never not had a weird dream when I've taken a nap in actual denim. You know how tired you have to be to sleep in denim? It's like actually horrifying. The next morning, it's like early in the morning, it's like 5:30. Beau does some cursory Googling about vampires. He could have been out binging. Binging? What's the verb tense of bing? Yahooing? What about Cliffy? Did Cliffy do Googling? Ask Jeevesing. In my last video, I got dragged and yelled at for asking whether or not Google existed in 2005. Apparently it did. I don't know. I wasn't there. I was there, but very, very, very minimally. Okay, so Beau wakes up after his jeans nap, and he asks Jeeves about vampires, and he finds some stuff out. What does he find out? He reads a forum, and the forum is like, these are all the different types of vampires. And he's like, I don't believe it. And then the last entry is like, Stragoni Benefici. I should take Italian. Stragoni Benefici. An Italian vampire said to be on the side of goodness and the mortal enemy of all evil vampires. Now, I don't know if this is what the Cullens are, because they their type, their species kills people. Anyway, this information's sort of hard for Beau to learn, so he goes on a little walk in nature to ponder, to do some good thinking and pondering. Now, the next day, he goes to school. It's sunny, and none of the Cullens are at school. Okay, this entire book, Michaela is like in love with Beau. On this day, Beau decides to tell Michaela, he's like, no, I would totally date you, but my buddy, what's his name, Alan? Maybe it's Alan. I don't know. Joshua? I don't know. He's like, my buddy has a crush on you. And this is the man code. Can't cross the man code. Oh, Jeremy. His name is Jeremy. Look, I'm breaking all kinds of man codes by telling you this, so don't tap me out, okay? Oh, don't rat me out, okay? Jeremy's my friend, and if I went out with you, it would upset him. That evening, Beau and all of his good guy friends, they drive to Port Angeles to buy corsages for the dance. I just think it's so funny, like, Stephanie Meyer's attempts to make sure nothing is too feminine in Beau's character. Like, boys can't go shopping. That's a girl thing. Girls shop. Boys buy corsages for girls. They don't buy anything for themselves. Silly. It's silly. So the plan is to go corsage shopping and then go to a movie after, but Beau wants to go to a bookstore, so he sort of separates himself from the group. He's like, I'm gonna go look for a bookstore. He just starts walking. No plan. Obviously, it goes horribly for him. He gets jumped. He gets jumped and held at gunpoint. And these people who are mugging him are like, oh, you're a cop. You're an undercover cop. We're gonna kill you. Edith pulls up in her Volvo and saves the day. And Edith wants to kill the people who were trying to kill Beau. And Beau's like, no, don't. They didn't know what they were doing. It's fine. Edith is like, let's go to dinner. And Beau doesn't want to ditch his friend. So Edith drives him to the movie theater. She is like, is it all right if I take Beau out to dinner? And Beau's friends are like, yeah, no, totally, huh? Because she's so beautiful and he's so mid. So they're at dinner and he's eating mushroom ravioli. I have a really vivid memory that Bella was vegetarian in the books and Beau is not vegetarian in this book. And I was like, that's so funny. Is being vegetarian a little too gay for Stephenie Meyer? Turns out I was totally wrong. Bella is not a vegetarian. I think she might be a vegetarian in the movies, but not in the books. But Beau is also not a vegetarian because, say it with me, vegetarians are all homosexuals, every single one of them, gay people. They're at dinner and Beau is like, what are you doing in Port Angeles? And Edith is like, oh, I followed you here. Hello? They're gabbing. And by this point, Beau is like 95% sure that Edith is a vampire. None of them want to like address it. None of them want to say that openly. So they're just kind of talking around the point. And then Edith is like, well, I can't read your thoughts. And Beau's like, oh my God, I'm a freak. Oh my God, freakish. You can't read my thoughts. I'm a freak. You're a freak. She can read people's thoughts. That's freakish. You're fine. Beau also tells Edith what Jules said about the treaty and the vampires and the werewolves, even though when he and Jules were having this conversation, Jules was like, I'm not supposed to be saying this, so please don't tell anybody. And then immediately, yapping away to Edith, he's a bad friend. This is the dinner where they have the like, how long have you been 17?
A while.
Except for I picture it so much differently in this book. It feels so much more casual. I have a lot of questions, but you don't have to answer them. I'm just curious. About what? How old are you? 17. I stared at her for a minute, till half her mouth twitched up into a smile. How long have you been 17? I asked. A while, she admitted. Also, from this point onward, they stay holding hands. They are at every possible moment holding each other's hands. And we know how I feel about that. I don't like holding hands. It feels awkward. It feels gross. And why are you touching each other like that? Ugh. Edith is driving Beau home and she comes out as a vampire and Beau is like, I don't care. I'm in love with you. And she's like, you should care. And then they talk about Edith's diet. She's like, well, I call myself a vegetarian because we don't eat people. We only eat animals. Sure, that's so vegetarian of you. Beau is like, does it satisfy you? Edith goes, I can't be sure, but I'd compare it to living on tofu and soy milk. We call ourselves vegetarians as an inside joke. It doesn't completely satiate the hunger, or rather the thirst, but it keeps us strong enough to resist. Question for the vegetarians out there, do you feel completely satisfied? I don't know what they're on about in here, because that's crazy. Edith drops Beau off, and then the next morning she picks him up to drive him to school. Beau's friends see him arrive in her car, and they're like, ooh, you dirty dog. And he's like, no. She like dropped me off and picked me up this morning. After all, Jeremy and I had been friends for a little while. Guys told each other this kind of stuff. It was probably part of the man code thing I'd invented. You didn't invent the bro code. I've always wondered, like, how much about each other's love lives friends who are boys tell each other. Because like my friends who are men, I force them to talk about their feelings with me because I think it's healthy for them and I love to hear the gossip. But like guys who are friends with guys, like, do you talk about your feelings? You must. How do you not? I talk about my feelings all the time. Okay, so it's a little bit later, although not like so long because the dance still hasn't happened yet. So it's less than a week later, but more than a couple days. Edith and Beau are in love. They are in bio class. For the next couple days, they're watching a movie in bio class and they are horned up in this freaking class. Oh my gosh. At school, at your place of education, diabolical. And let's never forget it. They are in class while this thought process is happening. I thought that a little contact would help, that it would take away the nagging want, but it kind of backfired. The little frisson of electricity got stronger, changed into bigger jolts. I was suddenly dying to put my arm around her, to pull her into my side and hold her against me. I wanted to run my fingers down the length of her hair and bury my face in it. I wanted to trace the shape of her lips, the line of her cheekbone, the length of her throat. Keep it in your pants maybe while you're at school. End of the day, Edith drives Beau home because he doesn't have his car there. Bonnie, Jules' mom, is there and she sees Edith and Beau together and she's really put off by it, but she doesn't say anything. So it is the day of the dance. Charlie goes off on a fishing trip, I think. It's sunny, so Edith can't go out to Seattle, famously. Beau doesn't know why yet. We obviously know it's because they sparkle in the sun. Edith keeps on being like, you should really tell somebody about these plans. You're gonna be alone with me. And what if I can't control myself? What if I just kill you? You're crazy, girl. So instead of going to Seattle, Edith takes Beau out on a little adventure. It's like a really long drive and then a 5-mile hike. And first of all, they're wearing the exact same outfit. She had on a light tan sweater with a scoop neck, a white shirt underneath, and jeans. My sweater was the exact same shade, though that and my white tea both had crew necks. My jeans are the same color blue too. They're twinning on their date today. That's gay. So it's a drive and then a hike, and the hike is not good for Bo because Bo, as might I remind you, is a girl who falls. Bo is falling all over the place all the time, and as a fellow girl who falls, who also hikes, I get it, I feel it, it's tough. We have to be extra careful because we're girls who fall. I almost fell off a cliff one time. I went backpacking with my dad and I was in like middle school, and this trail was like really narrow, like a small ridge cut into a mountain, and I like tripped over a boulder and like almost fucking fell off of a cliff, and my dad grabbed me by the backpack strap. Scary. I sprained my ankle really bad, and then I had to hike like 10 more miles. So that was fun, and now my ankle makes this sound. Gross. So they do this hike, then they get to this beautiful clearing in the woods. Edith steps out into the sunlight, and whoa, shock, horror, she sparkles. I am baffled because to me, the sparkly skin is the least scary part about being a vampire. That's like not the scary part. It's the eating people. But it's always like a big deal. Like, this is the skin of a killer Bella, which does unfortunately not occur in this book. Devastated. Edith is in this clearing and she's sparkling and she's like, "Are you scared now?" And Bo's like, "No, it's not scary. Sparkling is not scary." They kiss and then Bo gets like a little bit too into it, if you know what I mean. And then Edith freaks out and runs across the field. Bo is like, "What about me makes it harder to be around me than like the average person?" And Edith uses this crazy analogy. She's like, imagine an alcoholic. Imagine an alcoholic. Great start, girl. Great start. Keep going. Follow that thread. And imagine they're in a room with a pitcher full of stale, disgusting, gross, nasty beer. They'll be fine. But now imagine this same alcoholic is in a room with like the most delicious, like, what does she say? Now let's say you place in that room a glass of 100-year-old brandy, the rarest, finest cognac, and filled the room with its warm aroma. How do you think our alcoholic would fare then? That's crazy. Unfortunately, I think that shows a fundamental misunderstanding of like how addiction works. And then she's like, but just like given the like strength of my desire, now imagine it's heroin. This is literature. This is the highest literature of our generation, I do believe. So they like are in love. They say that they love each other and they want to bang so bad. Also in this clearing, Edith sort of tells Bo about everybody's backstory, like all the vampires. It's exactly the same as in regular Twilight, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. Also, it has no bearing on the plot. But basically what we need to know is that Edith is from Chicago. She almost died during the Spanish flu in 1918 when she was 17 and then got saved by Girl Carlisle. Edith drops Bo back off at home. Charlie's not there yet. And Edith is like, "I come back here after you and your father are asleep. It's sort of my routine lately." I'm sorry, you what? Sorry, you've been watching me sleep? Cool, awesome, I love that. I feel so loved. That's horrifying. So Edith drops Bo back off at home and then like dips until Charlie goes to bed and then she comes back. They're sitting in bed, Edith and Bo. They're just gabbing, they're shooting the shit. Bo asks the question that we've all been thinking. Bo is like, "Do vampires pork? Yes or no, please say yes." Because he wants her so bad. Edith is like, "Yeah, of course we can pork, but like I can't have sex with you because I would kill you because you're so fragile, you would die." So they go to sleep. The next morning, Bo wakes up and literally falls to his knees because Edith is so beautiful. You know what? Been there, brother. "I staggered out of bed, not sure where I was going, only that I needed to be closer to her. She waited for me, and there was no surprise on her face when I sank to my knees in front of her." Moving swiftly along, Edith invites Bo to visit her family. While Bo is at the Cullens house, Archie, who's like our Alice character, has a vision of visitors who are not like the Cullens, aka they hunt and kill human people. Bo and Edith are like still hanging out in Edith's room. And she's like, "Yeah, I've killed people before, but only bad people, so don't worry about it." And then Bo is like, "I'm not scared of you." Edith like super speed pins him down. "Stop flirting." She like pins him to the carpet and she's like, "What about now?" Stop it. That night, Bonnie does another little visit by Charlie's house, but Charlie isn't there yet. Bonnie warns Bo to stay away from the Cullens. He's like, "Thanks for the warning, but I'm not going to do that. She's hot." So the next day there is a storm, and we all know what that means. Baseball time. Baseball. The baseball scene is so random. It comes out of nowhere. It makes no sense to me. When Bella or Bo or whoever the fuck is like, "Baseball." And the vampires are like, "Yeah, it's the great American pastime. Obviously we play baseball." What? During baseball, Archie has a vision that the vampires are coming towards them because they heard us playing and it changed their path, Archie said, contrite as if he felt responsible for whatever had happened. Karine is like, "Let's just keep playing. We'll just pretend that Bo is one of us. If we stay downwind of them, they won't ever be able to tell." Okay, my camera died. If it's crooked, mind your business. The scary vampires show up. At first, they don't know that Bo is a human because the rest of the Cullens are like, "Yeah, this is our family and this is Bo and he's a vampire." And then the wind shifts and they get a whiff of him and they're like, oh my god, it's a person. This one specific vampire named Joss, I'm assuming short for Jocelyn, she becomes like uncontrollably bloodthirsty. She's also a tracker type of vampire, which I think means that like she's good at tracking people. It should be noted that all of these new vampires are completely barefoot, totally bare piggies out on the forest floor. Team Cullen heads back to the Cullens' house and they're like, what the fuck do we do? And they're all like bickering over what the best plan is. And then Beau is like, hey guys, listen to me, I have a good plan. He's gonna go to Phoenix with 2 of the vampires because no one would ever suspect that he goes back to Phoenix. That's too obvious. But that means he needs to leave Charlie because Beau is worried that the tracker would kill Charlie to like get to Beau. Beau goes to Charlie's house. He low-key says some really, really mean stuff to Charlie to get Charlie to let him go back to Phoenix. And he's like, I want to go back to Phoenix. And Charlie's like, what happened? And Beau is like, I'll tell you what happened. I said in the hardest voice I could manage, I had a great night with the prettiest girl I've ever seen. We talked about the future and the way she sees it. It's just like you. She's going to stay here the rest of her life. She's going to get married and have kids and never leave. And for a second, that all actually made sense to me. I'm losing myself here. I'm getting sucked in. And if I don't run now, I'll never get out. Basically, Beau is like, I'm breaking up with Edith because anyone who loves forks this much is a loser, nobody, no prospects, lame, little loser bitch. That's especially mean because Charlie loves forks that much. And that's sort of like exactly what Renee said to Charlie when she divorced him. Basically, Beau is calling Charlie a loser, lame, no prospects, nobody, boring, little lame loser bitch. Pretty harsh, pretty sad. Archie and Jessamine, who is gender swap Jasper, they go to Phoenix with Beau, and they're spending a few days in Phoenix in the motel by the airport. Archie has a vision of a dance studio, and he can't quite figure out what it means, but he sees the room. I was waiting for this moment. I was like, how is Stephenie Meyer going to navigate the dance studio? Is it going to be like a football studio? What are we going to do? And then I saw that it was a dance studio. I was like, hell yeah, Beau does ballet. That's awesome. Turns out I'm wrong. Obviously, boys can't do ballet. That's a girl thing. Only girls can dance, never a boy. The dance studio is where Beau's mom used to teach dance classes. So Beau convinces Archie and Jessamine to let him phone his mom's house and basically not say what they were saying, but like leave a phone number. Later that night, or maybe early the next morning, time has no meaning, everything is dust, I don't know what's going on. They get a phone call. It's Beau's mom. Except for a plot twist, it's actually not Beau's mom. It's the evil tracker vampire Jocelyn. She tells him to sneak away from the vampires and to meet at Beau's mom's house where she will give him more directions as to where to go from there. But make sure nobody follows him. So he waits until they all go to the airport to pick up Edith, and then Beau makes his great escape. He just runs away. He's sprinting. He's like, oh, I'm gonna fall because I fall all the time, but he's sprinting. He takes a cab to Scottsdale, which is where his mom's house is. So he gets to the house. In the house, there's directions to go to the dance studio. He goes to the dance studio, which is currently closed for spring break. Turns out Renee is actually still in Florida. The vampire used a voice recording from Renee's house to like lure Beau here. And now Beau is in big trouble because his mom is actually safe and now he's alone with a vampire and he can't fight a vampire. He can't do anything. He's useless. Joss, the scary tracker vampire, sets up a camera to film the whole thing. Then she starts breaking every bone in Beau's body and like torturing him to death. Also, more lore. Basically, the reason why the tracker was interested in the Cullens is because Archie, who is Alice, doesn't remember any of his human life. Turns out, we learn, originally Archie as a human was to Joss as Beau was to Edith. Does that make sense? So the way Edith feels about Beau, about how like he's the most delicious, succulent, beautiful, delicious, yummy person in the world, is how Joss felt about Archie when he was a human. She was about to like feast upon Archie when Archie got turned into a vampire by Kareen. But the reason why Archie doesn't remember any of this is because human Archie was like dealing with some mental health stuff and like having visions. So they were doing shock therapy on him because it was the 20s. And so that like sort of fucked up his brain so he can't remember anything pre-becoming a vampire. Anyway, that's the lore. It's not really important. So anyway, Joss breaks every single bone in Beau's body and then like bites his hand. So we learned earlier in the book when we were learning about everyone's backstory that like the vampire venom travels from wherever you got bit up to your heart. So if you get bit in an extremity, it takes a longer time to be turned into a vampire, and then there is some hope of like turning you back before it fully reaches your heart. But it's really painful. It really hurts. So Edith and Archie and Jessamine and like everyone else, I don't know exactly who's there, they all show up to save the day. Edith tries to get the venom out of Beau's hand, but Archie has a vision. He's basically like, either we just let Beau turn into a vampire, or we're gonna kill him if we try to stop the venom progressing. It's too late, Archie said. We got here too late. There are only 2 minutes left, Kareen. He survives as one of us, or Edith kills him trying to stop it from happening. Unfortunately, Stephenie Meyer lied to me in the foreword, and this is not the same ending as the original Twilight book. And this ending is actually so much more devastating. Beau is turned into a vampire, and the transformation process is very painful and awful and horrible, and like feels like fire on every part of your body. Feels like you're being burned alive. My biggest fear, by the way, being burned alive. Terrifying. Edith feels so guilty. She's like, if I had never involved you in this world, like, you would still be a human. Beau is like, I'm in so much pain. Stop talking to me. So Edith also explains all the rules of being a vampire. Basically, he'll be really thirsty and murderous for the first few years and like a danger to society. There's a vampire government called the Volturi, and basically they make sure that like nothing goes crazy, and also you can never see your family again. Those are like the ground rules of being turned into a vampire. Because Beau gets turned into the vampire, now there is drama and tension between the Cullens and the werewolves. Essentially, any new vampires that are being made breaks the treaty and could cause an all-out war between the vampires and the werewolves. They do a meeting. The Cullens and the werewolves have a meeting. The wolves are like, you broke the treaty by turning Beau into a vampire. Kareen is like, we didn't. Someone else did. Not our fault. And they believe her. Well, actually, then Beau is like, it wasn't them. It was someone else. And they believe Beau. So Beau is a vampire. He is the vampire with the most self-control ever in the world. I think that's his vampire superpower, which, not to be hateful, but if it were me, I would be a little mad, because what do you mean all the other vampires get super cool, awesome special powers like reading their minds or telling the future, and my superpower is superhuman self-control? I would be a little sad. But then there are some vampires who don't get any super special powers, and that would be worse. Anyway, if you think that they all live happily ever after as vampires at the end, you'd be wrong. There's an epilogue, and the epilogue is so sad. So basically, because Beau can never see his family again, because that would be breaking Volturi law, they fake his death. They make it look like Beau had a fatal car crash as he was driving to Phoenix after his fight with Charlie. Oh my god. Can you imagine how Charlie would feel? Like, their last conversation was devastating. Beau was so mean to Charlie, and then he dies. That poor man will never recover. So Beau is like watching his own funeral happen, and he's watching how like devastated his family is. But not to worry, because he gets to spend eternity and forever and immortality with his hot wife, because he proposes to Edith and they all live happily ever after. The end. Anyway, there's also an afterword. Stephenie Meyer's like, sorry for lying to you in the foreword. I just wanted to see what would happen if I did a different ending, which honestly can't fault her for that. Be divalicious and have a good time. But then she's also like, and I want to make sure everyone knows that it's not because Beau is a boy and Bella is a girl. Were we thinking that? Were we thinking that this different ending was different because Beau is a boy? I don't think so. I feel the reason we had this ending is because Life and Death is a standalone book, and there are 4 books in the Twilight Saga. We needed to have it all wrapped up by the end of 400 pages for this book. So like, I understand the necessity to make the ending be like wrapped up with a little bow, even if it's sad, even if it's devastating. Anyway, that is Life and Death, Twilight Reimagined, 2010 Anniversary Gender Swap Edition. How we feeling? Shall we have some final thoughts? This might be blasphemous for me to say, but I actually enjoyed this book better than the original Twilight books. I thought it was more compelling. I thought it was more succinct. I also like that there were more women, because I love women. I didn't grow up on the Twilight books. I read them for the first time like 2 years ago. So I don't have the like nostalgic allegiance to the original books, and I think that this is a stronger piece of fiction. Actually, I don't even think I can say that. I think that like in my biased opinion, it just has more things that I like. This felt very queer, and it really, really lends itself to like a queer reading. And so this is now my formal petition to the Stephenie Meyer of Twilight fame that for the 20th anniversary edition, which is this year, make them all gay. Hey, ever considered that? Lesbian Twilight? Unrelated. How are you feeling about the collages? I made these. I'm redecorating my living room. So anyway, that is all I have for you today. As always, I have a suggestion box if you want to suggest your own shitty book. I also have a Goodreads and an Instagram. I also have some exciting things coming up soon, so keep an eye and an ear out for that. Maybe a not so shitty book club. Who said that? Who said that? What? Anyway, love you so much. Hope you're having a great time. Happy almost Halloween also. Bye.